lesson, I know some of the girls in my class will pick out that I'm wearing the same thing. So thank you for joining this work team. You can feedback. Okay, so today's focus is all going to be on about the natural causes of climate change. So we need to identify the natural factors causing climate change. So natural, that's naturally occurring, you know, nothing really to do with us. We can't have any impact over that. That's what we're going to focus on today. Next lesson, we have a look at the human factors that have caused climate change. But today is all about those natural. And we need to explain how each of those natural factors have led the climate to change over time. So these are the three natural factors that we're going to focus on today. So one is the Milankovitch cycle, another is solar output, and then also volcanic eruptions. So I'll go through each of these with you, and then there's a task for you to do as well on email or Teams. So I will explain it for you. I mean, it is difficult doing it over an online platform and not being able to answer your questions and so on. So I will try my best, but if you do have any questions, just email myself or Miss Madare. So Milankovitch cycle is all about how the Earth circles the sun, so the Earth's orbit. And the amount of energy that reaches the Earth changes due to changes in ways that the Earth orbits the sun. So the Earth's orbit around the sun changes shape every 100,000 years. So that means that the distance between the Earth and the sun changes as the Earth orbits. So sometimes the Earth gets closer to the sun, and that would mean the climate be warmer, and vice versa. And there's a little bit of a basic diagram underneath there to show the two orbits round, and it's not a sudden change from that one to that one. That merges every 100,000 years, and like you can see, the yellow is the sun, the green is Earth, and if it's much further away it'll be cooler, whereas when it's closer it'll be warmer, and so on. And obviously that's a natural cause. You know, we have no control over the Earth's orbit around the sun, and that's completely natural. Part 2 of the Milankovitch cycle is all about the Earth's axis is tilted at an angle. I'm sure you cover this in science, but the angle of the tilt changes due to gravitational pull of the moon, and when the angle of the tilt increases, this can exaggerate the climate. So summers will get warmer, winter will get cooler, and so on. And that tilt, again, not suddenly, but gently merges every 41,000 years. So again, that can be a natural cause of climate change. The second factor that we're going to have a look today that's a natural cause of climate change is the solar output. It's all about the sun's energy. And the way I try to teach it in lesson is imagine that the sun isn't always working on 100%. It's not always giving 100% out of its energy, and obviously the amount of energy it puts out is then going to have a direct impact on our climate. And the way that we know, and scientists know, you know, how much solar output there is something called sunspots. So you can see from this diagram here, they're caused by magnetic activity inside the sun, and it results in dark patches on the sun. So when there's more sunspots, that means there's a warmer climate, and then when there's less sunspots, that means there's a colder climate. It's decreased actually in the last 50 years, so it's not necessarily the sun's energy, the solar output that's caused recent climate change. That then leads to next lesson when we have a look at human factors. And then the last one is volcanic activity. So volcanic eruptions can temporarily cause climate change. So for example, in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted a large ash cloud, and it actually led to 0.5 degrees Celsius drop in temperatures. This is because the amount of sulfur dioxide that's emitted, that's erupted, and that mixes with water and it forms this mist, this vapour, and that reflects the sunlight away and reduces the sun's heat energy that enters the Earth's atmosphere. So volcanic eruptions can actually lead to the climate becoming cooler overall. And there's just a little diagram there to help try and explain it. So obviously you've got your volcano that erupts a lot of sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, ash. That water is then mixed with water and sunlight, and then the sun's light is blocked out, so it reduces the sunlight being able to reach Earth. And like I said, that one eruption in 1991 led to a 0.5 degree decrease in the climate, in the temperature overall. So they're your three natural factors that make up today's lesson. There's a task for you to do over on your Teams work or email work, however you're accessing that. So if you could pause the video and have a go at that task now, please. And we're just going to do for the second task a little true or false quiz. So you need to be honest with yourselves here. So I'll read out a statement, just jot down, do you think that's true or do you think that's false? And then I'll show the answer straight away so you can mark it. So the Earth's orbit changes shape every 1 million years. Is that true or false? That is false if you've been listening, because it changes every 100,000 years. As the Earth gets closer to the sun, the climate will be warmer. Do you think that is true or false? That is true, so well done if you got that one. The angle of the tilt changes due to the gravitational pull of the sun. So that's the Earth's tilt that I showed you that changes every 41,000 years. Is that caused by the gravitational pull of the sun? That is false. It's caused by the gravitational pull of the moon. So when the angle of the tilt increases, this can exaggerate the climate. So summers get warmer and winters get colder. Is that a true statement? It is, so well done if you got that one right. The output or the energy of the sun is measured by observing sunspots on the sun's surface. Is that true or false? Again, that is true. And then, no, I think there's two more. So more sunspots equals a colder climate and less sunspots equals a warmer climate. Is that true or false? That is false. It's the other way around. And I think this one's the last one. So in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted, which formed a large ash cloud, and it led to a 1.5 degree Celsius drop in temperature. Is that true or is that false? That is false, because it was 0.5 degrees Celsius drop in temperature. So give yourself a mark. I think that was out of 7, and let myself or Miss Madare know what you got. Okay, so bringing everything back together about what we've learned today. So we're going to have a go at a question, which is explain the natural causes of climate change. And that would be a typical 6-mark question. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of help how to structure it. And then that's over to you to pause on this slide or go over to Teams and email, because it's directed to you there as well. Okay, so explain. So if you're explaining, you need to include the following words to help you explain. So as a result, this means that, because, and it's the natural causes. So ignore anything to do with humans, anything that's our fault that causes climate change, and focus solely on those three things that we've looked at today. So the Milankovitch cycle, the solar output, and volcanic eruptions. Now, you probably wouldn't have time to talk about all three in great detail, but if you could explain two in detail, you'd be able to get up to your 6 marks. And there's a mark scheme there. I'll try and move myself out of the way in a second so you can see. So 1 to 2 marks is you're identifying natural causes of climate change. 3 to 4, you're identifying the natural causes and you explain how at least one of them causes climate change. But none of us are aiming for that. We're all aiming for 5 and 6 marks. So you need to explain in detail at least 2 causes of climate change. And right at the bottom there, there's a sentence starter to get you started. So it's up to you which one you pick, but I've started with volcanic eruptions. So volcanic eruptions are a natural cause of climate change. Volcanic eruptions cause climate change because, and then you'd go on to explain how that works. So for your last task of today's lesson, if you could pause it here, use the question, use the sentence starters, the connectives, and the mark scheme to have a go at that. And do remember to submit your work via email or Teams to myself and Miss Madare. And thank you for watching again and for submitting your work, and take care, Year 10. Hopefully see you all soon.